How you
And
doing?
I'm apologizing because I'm trying to stuff my face.
That's all right.
We
Stuff
got
your
a
face.
we got a show in about hour and 15, and we just finished sound checking, and we unfortunately I'm without my wife, and she does all of our merch. So I'm working with the ladies downstairs to get the merch set up. And how do you use point of sale? I don't know how to do it. All right, well, so I'm being the tech guy at the same time.
Nice.
Yeah,
So anyway, so I'm glad you did this, man. So it's Ryan Christopher, correct?
Ryan Christopher, that's right.
Ryan Christopher, and you sing for Resurrection, the Journey tribute.
That's right. We're based out of Nashville, Tennessee. We're in our fourth year.
Fourth year, and you did one before that, correct? A different
That's
one?
right. It was a Chain Reaction, a Journey tribute, a tribute to Journey. It was, and that was from 2006 to 2013. So 7 years with that one. I'm going on my 12th year here. If you add it all up, it's month by month,
Right.
in Journey tribute. So
Right.
fun times.
So,
Yeah.
and obviously, so you don't have the. We talked a little bit. What's going to be cool about this little podcast is you don't have any singer rituals. You're stuffing your face before your gig, which I cannot do.
Yeah, yeah, and I won't eat a lot, but I'll eat a little bit. Just put something on my stomach.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're singing and you're going to be doing an hour, 2 hour show, especially when you're doing stuff like Perry or anything with high vocals,
Yep.
you don't want a big gut when you hit the stage.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it really hard to breathe.
And you've never and so getting into it. So as we and then I want to get into before we leave, I'll make sure that everyone knows how to get in touch with you or get in touch with the band and things
Sure.
like that. So that I'll put a video or two, probably one before we start and one after of your band live or stuff. You could tell me ones to
cool.
go to. And
Yeah, sure.
But so tell me about your singing journey, because you're really, and I'll say gifted. And I don't like to use gifted because did you practice a lot? Because then it would say to me, not gifted. He actually worked really hard at it in his bedroom as a kid. He screamed it to the pillow. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure. Well, you know what I'll do for you, and I'll try to make this quick. So I want you to give me the wrap up sign if I'm going too long winded.
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right. So when I get radio interviews and stuff like that, they usually ask me where I started. So and a lot of people are always curious about that. So at 7 years old, I was given a boom box, and it was probably this big. I mean, the smallest radio you can possibly imagine, with two speakers and a tape deck on it. And I just started playing the local radio stations. So, Bryan Adams and Richard Marx and all these 80s guys were huge during that time. And I would listen to them and sing on my porch, which annoyed the crap out of my neighbors every Saturday morning. So basically from that point, I fell in love with singing. I come from a family that has guitar players, banjo players. My mom was on radio programs when she was a kid with her sisters doing, just a cappella harmonies, right there on the radio. So I had some pretty big shoes to fill, and not one of those family members ever made it. Made it meaning they did music full time, and I'm on the cusp of it. Yeah. I still have a full-time job that I work, so we're really close this year to making it full-time. I think we've got 45 dates on the books right now, which is great. We've never had a year like this. So anyway, it slowly developed. I got into school. My first school singing experience was in 6th grade. I joined the chorus, at that point in time, and we did The Greatest Love of All, and I got the solo for Whitney Houston, The Greatest Love. And I was singing that stuff full voice at the time. Hadn't even hit falsetto or puberty yet, so right. I was singing all that stuff high. And from that point, it just kind of one year at a time. I would try to get into concert choir or chorus, and I really didn't have a whole lot of talent. And when I got into high school is where things started to change for me, where my music teachers would say, "You've got something. You've got a gift." And I didn't know what that meant. And I'd ask my mom or my grandparents, what should I do with this thing? I don't know. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. Right. So at the time, I didn't have some good guidance counselors. They didn't tell me to go to school for music. Okay. So I should have had better guidance counselors that said, "Hey, you should, especially in New York, man. I mean, Juilliard and Berkeley right down the street, So long story short, I didn't get involved in music as far as college and that kind of stuff. My senior year was the biggest one, and I was involved in several ensembles. I did the New York State Solo Competition, which is NISMA. And I went there and I did a song from Handel's Messiah called Every Valley. Very high tenor, lots of movement. It was a brutal song. So I went and did this. I tied for first place for tenors in the state. And at that point, it just kind of like hit me. I need to do something with this, like people are encouraging me and whatever. So I went to my mom and my grandfather and said, I want to do this music thing like full time. Now, them already going through it and not making anything, of course, their reaction was, no, don't get a real job. You're not going to be able to feed yourself. So that's what I did. I went in the military for 4 years. I served in the Air Force from 93 to 97 and just sang in stairwells and didn't do anything with my voice. Got married in 2000. I dated the girl in 97. In 2000, I got married. Around 99 is when I got the bug to actually start singing. And I did a couple of things. I had this basement band. We never did anything, but I had this basement band in Alton, Illinois, which it was at Scott Air Force Base, which right in the same area. And they invited me down to their basement, and they were doing harder stuff. They were doing some Dokken and, just really good metal tunes. And I was completely oblivious because I came from power pop and your, country and gospel from my mom's side of the family. So right. I was listening to this music going, I'm floored, right? And so a couple bands later, it was about probably 2000, 2001, I joined a band called Surreal Zeal. Guitar player Dan Brown Jr. lives on the West Coast now. He does not just, guitar stuff, but he's a producer. And very cool cat. But he and his dad was a bass player. We put together this 4-piece and started doing rock music, rock covers. And every 60s to 90s, man, we were doing it all. And I remember getting introduced to Journey there. We did some obscure stuff, man. We did City of Angels and started it all a cappella. Well, when I tried out for that band, when he called me and said, hey, yeah, man, we're looking for a singer, blah, 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 they auditioned me live, which is the first experience I ever had, first time in front of an audience, and lost my voice after 3 songs. And I was defeated, just devastated, man. I went home with my tail between my legs, and I'm like, these guys, number one, aren't going to call me, and number two, apparently I'm not cut out for this, So I did get a call back, and they said, listen, you got great tone, and he said, your range is ridiculous, but you're not singing from your diaphragm, are you? And I was like, well, my chorus teacher always yelled at me about that, and the New York State solo competition, they took 3 points off of my overall score. The judge said, listen, we would have gave you 100 on you were impeccable. He said, but you have the Bryan Adams complex. And I said, what? What is that? He goes, you sing with your throat. He said, every time you go to hit a high note, you're doing this. He said, you can't do that. Well, that's the reason I lost my voice when I went to audition for that band. Same reason. I was singing all head voice or very minimal chest. And so the guys, they were very cool. The guitar player's dad was an incredible singer. He had a higher range than me. Probably still does. Man, the guy was incredible. And he goes, I'm going to teach you to sing from your diaphragm. You're going to be part of this band. And next thing you know, we're doing 4-hour sets. And, we're doing 55 songs a night. And that was really my baptism.
So hold on. So now I'm going to back up a little bit.
Yeah,
so
go ahead. Yeah.
Getting that, doing the audition or doing the contest, the handle piece. And
yeah.
Now, when you're learning this piece, because you don't read music and you don't,
right?
So,
yep.
Who are you listening to learn the sound of how you're supposed to perform that piece?
So my choir teacher, she tried very, very hard to get me to understand the concept of singing from a diaphragm.
Right.
But I'm sure it was the same back in the early 90s as it was, today. Your chorus teacher is not going to put her. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Your chorus teacher isn't going to, put her hands on your stomach and show you how to breathe. It's right. Just probably not going to happen. So what I ended up doing is when I did the song, it was one song, first of all. Okay. And you and I both know this is the American Idol generation, where everybody thinks you're going to sing one song and, hey, I'm a star.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was the truth. So what I did was when I was listening to the piece and I was listening to her play the piano, I was like, okay, this is where the notes need to be, right? I can memorize that. I can play by ear, But when I gave it back to her, she never said, you can't sing it this way. She would say, you really should do more with your diaphragm, but she really didn't say, you can't do this, right? So I just thought the whole time, hey, I can do it. I'm going to do it. So
Okay.
So we went and I rocked it out, and there you go.
So then you bounce towards the guy that said, "I'm going to teach you how to use your diaphragm."
Yes.
How did
Yes.
he teach you how to use your diaphragm?
So it was an interesting thing. What he did was he told me to yell. He said, "What happens when you get angry?" And I said, "Well, yeah, you start talking loud." He goes, "Yeah, but when you talk loud, where's that coming from? Have you ever listened, really paid attention to the physiology?" And I said, "You're tense?" He said, "Yes, exactly. You're tense. You're tense in your lower extremities because you're in your fight response. You're getting ready to fight. And anytime you see an animal, right, and they're getting ready to fight, they bring their haunches down, they tighten up their gut, and they get ready. They kind of crouch down, right? And that was the concept he taught me. He said, okay, that feeling is what you want when you do something with full voice, but you don't want to tighten your whole body. You just want to tighten your diaphragm." And I was like, man, it took me weeks. It really did. It took me weeks. And there were times when we were practicing where I would finally get it, and I'd be really excited. I'm like, oh, this feels right. And then I'd last 4 or 5 songs, and I'm like, man, my stomach hurts. Like this is a workout, But then, like I said, over time, you strengthen your muscles, you get used to the way it's pushed, and now it's really easy.
You make it look very easy,
Well,
by the way.
yeah, and I say easy in the sense of I'm trained to do it now, right? So, and I'm strong enough to do it now. But even if we do a 2.5 hour set at Journey, that's pushing it, man. That's when I start going, okay, maybe I should do some more crunches because, yeah, I'm getting tired,
Right. Do you
Yeah.
notice? Do you notice that you have like so many days a week you can do it, and then maybe by the I shouldn't push it past this many days. Do you notice that?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I mean, I probably don't have as much experience as some of the guys that you interview. But based on the experience that I have, the longest run I've ever done was a 5-day run, and we were doing 90-minute sets. Okay, so that seems to be the magic number. I didn't think that was good enough, in my infancy, especially getting into the Journey stuff,
Yeah.
till I heard Steve Perry would do 75 minutes, and he was done. He said, "That's it. That's all I want to do." But Jim Handley, he's our drummer in Resurrection. He worked for Journey from
Yeah, I saw that. He
2001
was
to
the
8.
drum
Okay.
tech for Steve Smith, right?
No, actually, Dean Castronovo.
Or Dean
Yeah,
Castronovo.
right, because Dean was there at that time. But he tells me all the time, like Steve Augieri, the singer that came in after Perry, they've done 2 to 3 hour shows before, which is, I mean, that's some serious vocals,
Right.
So I have a lot of respect for any of the guys, including Arnell, any of the guys that step up to the mic and do the Journey catalog, because it's a killer. It's a voice destroyer. So if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't know your limitations, you can really hurt yourself.
So you never had to worry about too much. Just back to the technique, and we're not going to get into that much, but talking about that cross position, that lower extremities core, your core. You never really got into anything else about it, like hey, when you do this vowel, maybe say this, or when you do this, you just pretty much said that's what you want to do.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, I learned it when I was doing just rock vocals. So the idea was, and I'm a perfectionist. Most musicians I meet are.
I think that's what's gonna. That's why it shows in your singing. And anyone that's gonna listen to this podcast, and I'm gonna direct them to see you sing on YouTube. I mean, it's
sure
you're by far the best I've ever heard at singing, and I'm like a nerd.
Thank you.
And I'm a singer myself, and I know plenty singers that sing Journey, and I've yet to meet anyone that really touches your spot on. Even when you're yelling at the crowd, you're like, "Hey, everybody, how you doing?" And you're like, it's like you're doing that same thing.
And you have to, because I mean, the reason they're coming to see us, and this is the truth. I kind of joke with my guys, right, that I travel with, and other musician friends of mine, and I tell them, look, you guys are musicians. Right? You know the theory, you know the craft, you live it and breathe it. I'm an impersonator. So the idea is that I can sing, yes, but I don't know, all of the technical stuff. I don't know all the theory. I have a talent to be able to replicate the voices I hear. And there are some that are extremely challenging for me. Some I can't do. But when you grow up and you're doing cover bands first, and this is my recommendation. Anybody that wants to. Yeah,
you were about to say something. You started in those hard rock bands, and this is how.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, what it allows you to do in a cover band is replication. You have a different artist every single song that has a certain way of singing something.
Yeah.
And if you pay attention and you practice, listen not only to the note that they're singing, but listen to the way they're singing it and try to copy that, because the closer you are to the original artist, the better the crowd feels about it. Because and there's certain ways to do it too. I mean, I know guys that do original sounding covers. That's a very cool thing. And if you pull it off, kudos. But it's amazingly hard to get an audience's respect by doing a cover in your own voice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's where it's at.
So
but as far as
that's where
areas
you kind of
concerned,
got it from, was from listen, like going, I'm just going to be a perfectionist.
Yes. Yeah. So when you, like you were saying, when I shout to the crowd, it's not, how's everybody doing out there? It's, hey, how's everybody doing? You gotta get that upper register. Where was Steve talking, right? Where was his just his whole overall sound? Where was it?
Yeah.
And like you were saying, the pronunciation of the words, so important. You get singers out there that they do the Broadway thing, which is good, by the way. I'm a fan of Broadway, but classically trained singers will mouth every single consonant. They want the audience to understand everything. That's not what rock singers do. Rock singers, they elongate a lot of their vowels. They form their mouth in crazy different ways. A good example is like with Steve. If you sing a song like Escape, okay, Escape is on their Escape album, the title track. But when he sings, he's just a young boy out of school, right? He goes, he's just a young boy out of school. He's not saying every single consonant. The vowels are elongated, so it's those little intricacies that make it for the audience. That's what they want to hear, Right. So anyway,
do you ever
hopefully
feel
that
anything when you sing in certain ranges? Do you ever feel like certain things, like, oh, I feel like a little pinch here, and that's what gets me into this little thing here? I feel,
yeah, like a crossover where and hell, I'm sure classically trained singers, teachers will tell you that there's really and from what I've been taught, 3 different voices that you're going to sing from. You have a deep diaphragm stomach kind of voice, like way down low. You have your chest voice, which is a little bit more mid-rangey, and then you have your head voice, which is usually your falsetto. And for me, my strongest 2 are the diaphragm and the falsetto. So, End of Mother Father, what is my all-time favorite Journey song. That's all falsetto. It's all up here.
right.
When you do something like a ballad, though, Open Arms. Open Arms uses a lot of chest voice, which is one of my weaknesses and something I'm constantly working on trying to develop. But he goes, lying beside you. It's all right here reverberating here in the dark. And he falls into falsetto a little bit. And then and when he gets into the lower register, feeling your heartbeat with mine. He's back down here lower. So it's one of those things where singers, if you're not classically trained, or even if you are, you have to feel it. You have to feel where is the note resonating, and then does it sound like what you're hearing on the radio? Yeah. If it is, you're doing it. And listen to other people. Don't listen to yourself, because when I sing, I can't hear Perry all the time. A lot of times I go, oh, I'm singing myself, but people hear Perry. So leave it up to the other ears. Your audience's ears are so valuable, especially musicians, because they're your worst critic.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, about like when you're singing, do you feel the sound? Do you feel the sound is you're trying how? Like, I don't know how to say this, but I always ask singers different. Talking about feelings, like where you're feeling it. Do you feel that it's like, wow, I'm singing really soft, but everyone else around you is going like, whoa, it's freaking loud? Or do you feel I'm killing it here and it's not that loud?
Well, and here's the deal. I think that really depends on your engineering, first of all, because an audience's reaction, right? We have a great engineer, so he knows, hey, it's ballad time. Pull the vocals back. Give me some extra verb for warmth. He knows what he's doing. But as far as if I have no reinforcement whatsoever and I'm just singing in a room, yes, I can feel the dynamic, and I couldn't before I started using my diaphragm.
Gotcha.
So there was that era where I thought everything was being pushed, and of course it was, because it was all that head voice, right? So you have to reinforce that. You have to push harder to feel more volume with that, because it's resonating so much and getting trapped here,
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, for sure, I can definitely feel it. And the interesting thing about it is that it's harder to pull back than it is to release a note, because you have to lock it up and control it, you know? So even when you roll into falsetto from your normal voice, there's a lot of control there that has to happen.
Right.
Something to Hide is a great example from Journey. When he goes, "You've got something to hide," you come down into that, "I know," and then it's full voice and a little falsetto. You know, so it's
right.
It's one of those things that Steve is probably the most difficult singer for me as far as his ranges where he goes.
Right.
But he's not as hard as some of the singers. Like I listened to your interview with Michael Starr. That dude is impeccable. He is.
Yeah,
he's incredible. Dude. And I've never heard him sing live. And shame on me. But I really want to see a show of his. Because
he's great.
The stuff that he was talking about when he said, singing like David Lee Roth and those upper, falsetto notes that he had.
Yep.
It's just sick. Here, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay? Hey, can I just get the key to your car? My Jack's in there. Doing an interview. There you go. Yeah. Cool. Oh, somebody needed car keys. All right. Well, cool. So, yeah. I think it's when people decide that they're going to sing, at all in church, if you're going to be in a rock band, if you're really seriously wanting to do it and go into a career in it, feeling is everything, and in my experience, feeling is secondary to theory. But if you have both, you're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, you're feeling where you're feeling it all from. It's obviously it's working great for you because it's dead on. Like when you're singing something like Any Way You Want It and you're doing that ending part, she said, are you doing that?
Yeah.
Do you feel that that's falsetto or that's your connected head?
No. Yeah, that's connected head voice for sure.
You feel grounded. You feel really grounded.
Yes. In our current format, in our current shows, there's only 2 songs that Journey does that I use full falsetto. That's the end of Mother Father that I just sang to you. Yep. And then in Love and Touch and Squeezing, it gets to the solo part.
Yep.
And he hits that really, really high note and so that's falsetto. And there's no getting out of that. Even Steve had to.
Oh yeah, you got to do. Yeah, that is what it is. It's for the song. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, you feel grounded and you're connected and you're just doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, one of the things that I hear a lot is that when people hear me, they put me between Perry and Algeri, because Algeri had he had a much raspier voice, so he was like a late Perry, in my opinion. But when you listen to him, he was very smooth, very smooth. Whereas Perry was just in your face. His voice was so powerful, and I see a lot of Journey tribute singers, for example. A lot of them will do a connected head voice or a head voice versus a full voice, right? They kind of rob the song of some of its power because they're trying to be exact on the note, and that's okay. Different people have different styles of singing, right. But for me, I want to deliver the power. I want people to feel it in their seats. I don't want them to just go, "Oh, we hit that note. He moved me," and that's the difference. You want your audience to be moved.
No, it's fantastic. Whatever you're doing, you keep doing, and if you could bottle it up, I would sell it. It's fantastic, man. You do a really good job. Now, what about where are you guys going from here? Now, where are you in Texas right now? Or are you in Tennessee? Where are you at?
We're in Louisiana. So we're based out of Nashville, and we drove up last night. We stayed the night. We're in Crowley, Louisiana, at the Grand Opera House of the South, and we're doing a show here tonight. We're going to do a 90 tonight, and then tomorrow we're doing an 8-hour drive. So we're going to be in Fredericksburg, Texas, at a place called the Rock Box. And we have a 110-minute show that night. And then the third stop is, what's the name of that? Weatherford, Texas, at a place called the Texas Opry Theater. And we're doing 130 minutes that night. So they're getting a lot of deep cuts. So that'll be pretty fun. Yeah.
And we talked a little bit in our text back and forth. You have no rituals. You just you'll take ibuprofen once in a while after a gig, you said.
Yeah, after a gig, and I learned that from a guy named Keith Landry, a real good friend of mine back in Nashville. He did a little bit of a stint with Toto. And he's got an incredible, Bobby voice, man. He's there, really, really. And he's older than I am, but he was the one I talked to, and I was like, man, what are your rituals, And I've asked this question to only a couple of people.
Yep.
I had the opportunity, and I'm humbled by the experience, to talk to Mickey Thomas 2 years ago.
And who says
And
voice is still screaming. It's great.
oh my God, he's amazing, man. So 63 years old, and I'm sitting there talking to him before they're getting on stage, and I asked him, what his ritual was, and crazy enough, it was the same exact thing that I did every single time I do a show. So I asked him, I said, what do you do? There's got to be some special warm ups or whatever? He goes, no, basically I scream to the top of my register, and then I get on stage. And I was like, it can't be that simple. Like me, some la la la's. I mean, my teacher taught me scales. Surely something else. It's like, no, I just scream and I get on the thing. I was like, that's so odd. How did and of course he sound checks with Jane at 63 and just kills it, man.
God.
Very song. Like, seriously? Come on, dude. So anyway, I listened to him and I told him, I said, one of my favorite bands, as far as like, hair metal bands, if you want to put it that way, from the 90s was Firehouse. And they're one of those bands very much like Extreme. They never really got their break because grunge was coming in and the world was changing. But they have a song called Overnight Sensation. And I know you know that song. And that's my ritual. That's my ritual. So Overnight Sensation starts with this really mean guitar riff that just kind of repeats. Da-da-da. Just a really, really screaming guitar part and some drums in the background. That's it. And then vocals just come out of nowhere. And he starts at the low register and then raises all the way up to this note and holds it for like an obscene amount of time, 22 seconds or something stupid. So anyway, that every time that I go to get on stage, I get the gear on, the dress up, and I do that. I do the Overnight Sensation intro, and then I'm ready. I'm ready to hit the stage. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And I've encouraged the guys. I said, sometimes I'd like to be able to sit down and do what Metallica does. Take the first half hour before the show and just get the guys together.
Do little harmonies.
Yeah, man. We haven't gotten to that yet. So maybe we'll make that part of our ritual. But it's so fun. And here's a demonstration. So the Overnight Sensation, it'll be like, whoa. So that's basically what I'll do. And it'll stretch the vocal cords out enough to be able to hit the stage. Once you hit the stage, the songs themselves, of course, are going to stretch you out a little bit more and kind of warm you up. But that's basically the run that I do.
Nice. So and then the ibuprofen after the show.
Ibuprofen after the show, and there's a couple things that I heard from Michael, from his interview with you too. Eating it after a show, horrible idea.
Yeah,
don't do that. Even if you're hungry, go to bed.
Yep.
Get some rest, sleep, drink a bottle of water with that ibuprofen. Get up and then plow down. Go ahead and have the biggest breakfast you can imagine.
Yep.
But when you go to sleep and your body's digesting, that acid will reflux.
Yeah, I've had it happen. I've had it happen really bad to where I lost my voice for over like a month and a half.
Oh my gosh!
I went to the doctor and he was like, "What did you do?" I go, "I didn't even sing. I woke up."
Yep.
It was horrible.
Yep.
So
it's a quick way to laryngitis, and people don't understand that acid is so caustic. I mean, think about it this way: if Coca-Cola can eat away battery acid, and we put that in our stomach, just imagine what we're capable of. Yeah. So when it hits the vocals like that, man, it takes days for it to heal.
Yep.
So, and I've made my mistakes, man. I've done we're gonna go to IHOP, cool, man. I'm gonna have the Texas Frio and just kill myself.
When you're younger, you get away with it. As you get older, you start to realize what you can and can't get away with. It's like, no.
Yeah. I'm only 42, but I'm definitely feeling it. I'm definitely getting to that point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to be very careful about my sleep habits, about, how much water I drink, versus Coca-Cola. I freaking love Coke, and it's horrible for you.
Do you ever drink any alcohol when you're hanging with the boys or singing? Or
No, here's the crazy thing. And, of course, we're going to lose a ton of cool points. The band itself does not drink. Like, we don't drink. No, band doesn't drink. I don't drink. We don't do drugs. So it's that older band mentality. Like, I'm the young one in the group, and it goes up to like 52 or 53 years old. Uh-huh. So all of us are pretty much like, hey, we know what we're coming to do. We know what the expectation is from the crowd, and it's fun to hang out. So eating definitely happens, man. We throw down some food when we're on the road. But we don't worry about alcohol or drugs.
Some people, some people know. So
yeah.
All right. So where can I direct everybody to? Like, what's a .com to send people to?
Okay, cool. Yeah, so the website is www.notjourney.com.
Not Journey.
Not Journey, because we're not Journey. We're we're playing the role, or as my keyboardist, my business partner says, he said we're a rock and roll play. That's what we do. They play the audience, we play Journey from '81. It's all fun. So yeah, notjourney.com. They can also find us on Facebook at Resurrection, a Journey tribute.
Okay.
And Resurrection is spelled with one S and three R's if you count the first R. So there you go.
Okay.
Yep.
Dude, thank you so much, Ryan. I really appreciate it. I'm glad we got a chance to talk, and I'm sure people are going to love to hear it. And I'm mad at you because you can't bottle it, so I can't take the pills. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
you
hey,
really
if
sound
we're
great, and hopefully I get a chance to see you live. And I know I will. You'll see.
yeah,
I'll approach you.
absolutely, man, and
Yeah.
and we owe you for just helping us out and getting the word out about us, and I appreciate the offer. When I heard that you were interviewing guys like Michael Starr, I was just like, or yeah, how am I even going to compare?
Oh,
So
fair.
I was very honored by your invitation. But yeah, if we end up playing in your area, please let me know. Say, Ryan, hey, I see you guys are coming. I will get you some VIP passes. We'll get you in the door, man.
Absolutely,
For
man.
sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Have a great show tonight. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks again for the invite. Have a good
Thank you,
night.
buddy. I'll talk to you, Ryan.
Okay, bye.